All right, guys, I'm gonna give you a little update here on this DPF issue I got. I've got the DPF off the car. There's lots of stuff that come out of the filter. So my DPF is off and cleaned out. Getting ready to put it back on, but I got a little bit of video from some of it, so I'm gonna try to post it for you guys. So anyone else with this issue, like I said at the beginning, it's been a real pain in the butt to deal with. Malone Tuning, I sent my ECU out Saturday. It was back at the house on Wednesday. I had it back at my house on Wednesday. So really super quick turnaround. Like I said, it cost $120 to ship it there. They charged me $70 for return overnight shipping, $650 for the tune just to stay with stock power. I don't have a camper or nothing like that. I'm not using it for pulling, so it's not a big deal for me. Stock power is just fine. I just needed to move my family around. Just to give you guys a quick run through of everything that I've needed to work on this thing. Let's see, first off, on the bolts or the nuts, whatever you want to call them, for the pressure sensors, there's one at the very top of the DPF. A real pain in the butt to get out. I couldn't get it out the first day. I had to soak it. Fortunately for me, I got this stuff. Really recommended. I soaked them bolts with this stuff, and it the next day I come out and it just came right on out of there. You only get enough room for maybe like 1/8 of a turn on that thing, so it's a real pain in the butt to get to, and when you get to it, you ain't got no room to actually turn it. I'm not even working with the greatest of tools. So just to let you guys know, I started out, I got the DPF off, or to get the DPF off, I had to get all of the sensors out, right? Because there's a bunch of different sensors in the thing. For all of the little sensors, the temperature sensors and all that, I used one of these crescent wrench. This one is a 6-inch crescent wrench. I don't know exactly what it opens up to, but that got all of the little sensors out, all of the temperature sensors and the pressure sensors. And then there was I guess they're a NOx sensor, but the big dog, big crescent wrench here. This is a 15-inch crescent wrench, and that got the big sensors out. I know you guys are probably giving me crap for not using wrenches, actual wrenches, because when you use those things, you do run a chance of stripping out the head. But I ain't got a wrench set, and I ain't really got lots of money to go throwing into a wrench set. If I was made of money, I'd have just paid the $5,000 to Mercedes to fix the thing, right? So for all of us who don't have the $5,000 and just want to enjoy our car, you know, you do what you can with what you got. All right, so after I got those sensors out, now the one at the top, there's a pressure sensor all the way at the very top of the DPF. You can't get to it. I couldn't get to it until I actually dropped the DPF down. Now the DPF is held on with 2 clamps at the ends. Look like this, right? And they actually have a star bolt. Sorry about that. Actually, I went ahead and got a bolt out so I can show you right quick. They got bolts like this, right? Initially, I thought I was probably going to have to go buy a tool set because I don't got these kind of sockets. But these bolts were actually not very tight. They were a lot easier to get out than what I had initially thought. I got them out with this right here. One of the nicer tool sets I do got. It's a gear wrench, but so they got these fancy sockets. It's a hole in the middle. It's called a go through, so that you can get to them with the bolt that goes up the middle. I didn't really have that issue for this particular job. I just used this set because, as you can tell, this is an awful long handle. I was expecting these bolts to be super tight, and they really weren't. Here's the socket I used to get those off. As you can see, it's not a fancy, you know, like a 12 point or nothing like that. It's just a standard socket, and it is a 3/8, and it fits perfectly on that head, and those bolts come out like it wasn't nothing. So got those clamps off, and I dropped the DPF down. Got the DPF off the car. Once I got the DPF actually off of the car, I used a hammer. But I got that thing down. So you take your hammer, right? And let's see, I went and got one of these jobs right here. This is a pry bar. It's a 16-inch pry bar. I got it from Harbor Freight. And it was like $8 or $12 for a set of 3 of them. There's a 16, a 12, and an 8, I think. Maybe, could be wrong. But anyways, looks like this right here. Come from Harbor Freight. Use the pointy end, stick it down in the DPF, and then you proceed to hit the top up with the hammer to put a hole in the DPF, break it up a little bit, and then you turn the DPF over and you dump it out. Rinse and repeat, right? Eventually you'll get the whole thing out. Once I got it a little bit, broke out the big pry bar, right? This is a 36-inch, I believe it is. Doesn't say on it. I believe it's a 36-inch. It also come from Harbor Freight. Like I said, I'm not a rich guy. I'd use what I can, right? So, okay, so the 36-inch, I think it was like $12 maybe at Harbor Freight. So that gives me a lot more leverage to actually knock the crap out of this stuff inside of the DPF. And like I said, I'll add a picture of that again so you can see all this stuff that has to come out of the DPF. I also ran my shop vac at one end of the DPF while I was knocking all that stuff around. You don't want to breathe this stuff in. It's coming from, I mean, this is years of buildup of exhaust fumes that they don't want out. You know, there's a reason you ain't supposed to have the stuff coming out your tailpipe. I mean, when you concentrate years worth of it right there underneath of a car and you're right there breathing it in, you don't want to do all that. So I used a shop vac to suck all of the dust and crap out of the air while I was doing all that. What else am I missing here? I believe that's the extent of the tools. So I've got the thing off now. Actually, I guess there's one more. The ECU is in the passenger side fender well. My car is the 2012. Yours may be a little bit different, but like I said, mine's a 2012 GL350 Blue Tech. Here is the car. You see I got it up on jack stands. GL350 Blue Tech, right? So when you come to the passenger side of the car, right up in here. All right, passenger side of the car up in here, you got the fender well, or you got the fender well. So you got this plastic piece here. I grab it right up here because I had to take those bolts out right there, and right up in here and down here, right? So then you just proceed to pull this down just like so. You can see all this here. This is the plug. My ECU is already out of the car, but this is what plugs into the ECU. You got this tab here on the back, so when you're unhooking yours, you actually have to pull this tab back right here to pull it up off of the ECU, and there's actually 2 of them. So you got both of them right here that plug into the ECU. The tab, this one here works the same way. The tab goes in, and it locks it onto the ECU. It pulls it down onto the ECU and locks it. When you want it off, you pull that and it actually ejects it off of the ECU. So the ECU goes in this little tray right here. You see that black tray right there? There's a bolt here and one up there. Now those bolts actually will take that whole frame right there off, which will make it almost impossible to get this thing out of here without beating up your fender. However, on this there is a bolt right there. It goes right there in the ECU. It is the one bolt that holds the ECU onto that bracket, right? And it's a star bit. Or no, it's a, yeah, I think it is a star. All right, yes, it is a star bit. This bolt right here is what actually Torx bit. It's what actually holds that ECU onto that tray. You take this bolt out and the ECU actually slide down off of that. Right here, right here is the Torx bit that I used. It goes on the socket. It goes on right on your socket. It is a T27 Torx bit. So you use the T27 Torx bit to get the ECU off of the car and mail that in. Like I said, Malone Tuning in Canada is who I used. They said mail it on Saturday, got it back Wednesday, and I'm getting ready to put it back together. Once I get all of that done, I will get back with you and let you guys know. Until then, I'm tuning out.